Hi, today I would like to talk about some options for your quilted jacket or coat. So when you're making the your quilted coat, I'm just going to call it a quilted coat, you can either pre-quilt the fabric yourself or you can buy quilted fabric. So here's an offcut of some that I quilted myself. So this was a linen cotton blend. And then on the other side, I've used quilting cotton, and in between the batting I used was just cotton batting. So there are instructions in the booklet of how to do this, and I'll do another video that shows you a little bit about how I would suggest that you do it for this specific project. But that is one option, and what this gives you is a nice finished inside. So this is the side that I chose for the outside of the coat, and then this was the inside, the lining. It's kind of self-lined, and so if you're self-quilting and you want to be able to see the quilting on the inside as well, then you'll use what I'm going to call a flat binding method to bind your seams. That looks something, just going to focus the camera, looks something like that. So I hope you can see that. Of course it's black on black, I'm sorry about that, there we go. So I've bound the seam with bias tape and sewn it flat, and I'll show you how to do that in a different video. The right side, you can see that extra row of stitching here, but because it's quilted already, there's so many lines of stitching, it doesn't interfere too much with the overall look of the garment. Another option is using pre-quilted fabric. So here's some pre-quilted, I think it's like a cotton, maybe with a little bit of linen blend. And you can see, as is typical with this kind of pre-quilted fabric, it's fairly inexpensive poly batting on the back. And obviously, you know, we wouldn't want this against our skin, so what I would suggest in this case is doing lining it. And so if you're using a thin lining, like this is just a cotton linen blend, I probably wouldn't choose black for this, but just to show you, you would just cut out the pieces the same and then treat them as one, just like the fabric that you were quilting. That's the way I would suggest that. So like a flat lining or almost like an interlining type situation. The other option you have is to get a pre-quilted fabric. So this is probably a nylon. It's probably supposed to be used for like a coat liner, an insulated coat liner. It's a fairly thin one. Again, it's got that fairly not very nice batting, but I have chosen to line mine with this Sherpa fabric, and I'll talk a bit more about that in another video when I'm showing you how to assemble it. But what I've chosen to do, this is just a pocket piece that I haven't sewn yet, is line that so it's the batting, the pre-quilted outside, and then a Sherpa inside, because I want this to be really nice and cozy and warm for the winter. In terms of binding your edges, you have a couple of choices. So the first choice, or one choice, is to use twill tape. This is cotton twill tape, and I've just pressed it in half here, and then that would bind around the edge like that, and you would just sew it in one pass. That's actually quite a nice color combination. So you would sew it like that. The other option is to use bias binding. This is some bias binding that I have made, and you would bind the edge. Again, like the instructions for doing that are in the booklet, and I'll make a separate video about that, but you would bind that edge like this. So it really just depends what kind of look you want. I think the bias binding gives a very like an upscale kind of finish, and I like that look, especially when you're going to the trouble of pre-quilting, like quilting your own fabric. You can see it gives a really clean, beautiful finish. I love the twill edge finish as well, but I think it's a more casual, rustic look. So it really depends what kind of finish you want. You can play with different widths of twill tape as well to get the width that that you want, that you think will look good. You can even do like different widths of twill tape or bias tape on your pockets versus the edges of the coat. I'm in the booklet, it does say, you know, gives suggestions, but you know, you can just change that however you want. Anyway, I hope this was a helpful little intro to choosing your options for the quilted coat.